You know, I literally just finished binge watching both seasons of Silo for the very first time, and I know I'm late to the party, but it worked out perfectly because Silo Season 3 is dropping on July 3rd, 2026. And now I get to watch that season live as it comes out with all of you. There's so much that happened across those two seasons, and it's been almost a year and a half since Season 2 ended, so you probably need a fresh recap as well. That's why I'm here to give you a run-through on all the twists and cliffhangers that are making us even more excited for Silo Season 3. It's going to be a fun one, so let's get right into it.
The important thing is the door is down there. You have to find it.
Season 1, The Lie We All Lived In. The premise hooked us from the very first episode, an underground silo with 144 levels and over 10,000 people who have absolutely no idea who built the place, when, or why. The only apparent truth they know is that the outside world is poisoned and lethal, and we believe that right alongside them for most of Season 1. Society inside is rigidly structured, as mechanical as at the bottom, keeping everything running, yet they get treated like dirt for it, while IT and judicial sit comfortably at the top, pulling every string that matters. It all looks orderly on the surface, but not for long. The story kicks off with Sheriff Holston Becker watching his wife Allison walk out to her death, and we weren't prepared to lose Rashida Jones that early. Allison had been shown footage of a lush green world on a hard drive by George Wilkins, programmer from the mids. This discovery shook her to her core and made her question everything, including why she still couldn't get pregnant after having her birth control device removed by Dr. Nichols. Eventually, she cut herself open and found the device was never removed. The people running the silo had quietly decided that she wasn't the right kind of person to have a child, all while letting her and Holston believe they had a real chance. This was just the beginning of the revelations about the full horror of the system. Allison demands to go outside, which the pact requires be allowed, and she tells Holston she'll clean the sensor lens if the world looks anything like the footage, but won't clean if it's grim and deadly like they see on the screens inside the silo. Just like everyone before her, she goes outside, cleans, and then dies on that hillside. 2 years pass, and George turns up dead at the bottom of a stairwell. His death is ruled as a suicide, and that's where Juliette Nichols enters. We gotta say, Rebecca Ferguson is phenomenal in this role, and we loved her performance from the very first scene. She's a brilliant mechanic from the lower levels, and can be quite difficult, as she doesn't trust the system because of her past. Her mother killed herself after her younger brother died due to respiratory failure. Father is the silo's own Dr. Pete Nichols, whom she blamed most of her life. She was in an unsanctioned relationship with George and doesn't buy the suicide story for a second. She and Holston dig up a secret camp George had been keeping full of relics, including that hard drive, Allison's own handwritten notes, which made Holston realize that his wife and George had been working together without his knowledge. He promises Juliette a signal when he finds something, but he never sends it, as 3 months later, he speaks those same forbidden words and names Juliette as his successor for walking out to his death. She takes the badge to find answers, and that motivation drives everything she does for the rest of the season. The people in power, of course, are immediately unhappy. Robert Sims leads Judicial, and Commons brings exactly the right menacing energy to that role. They wanted their own man, Deputy Paul Billings, to be sheriff. Bernard Holland, the IT head, played by Tim Robbins with a chilling coldness, nearly tolerates Juliette's existence. The only person who supports the appointment is Mayor Ruth Jans, and naturally, she gets poisoned almost immediately, letting Bernard seize control as acting mayor. They can be really ruthless. Juliette and Billings become reluctant allies as she uses his secret syndrome condition, which is a neurological disorder that would disqualify him from office, as leverage, and together they uncover horrifying things. Every mirror hides a surveillance camera through which the Watchers monitor everyone, port to Judicial. Judicial also runs a secret breeding program by implanting birth control in women who are deemed too rebellious, which is why Allison's device wasn't removed. They also discovered a secret society called the Flame Keepers, who preserve pre-silo memories and relics but were wiped out through assassinations and breeding restrictions. Juliette also finds a children's picture book from Georgia showing blue skies, sunny beaches, and a green earth that hit us hard. Knowing that these people have lived underground their entire lives, we'll never see any of it. The key to unlocking information about the Flame Keepers and the children's book turns out to be Gloria Hildebrand, an elderly woman Juliette finds heavily sedated in the medical. Gloria turns out to be one of the last surviving Flame Keepers, and it's she who tells Juliette everything, including that George's own mother, Anne, was one of them, that the picture book came from her, and that Juliette's own mother, Hannah, was so deeply aligned with their cause, losing her felt like losing one of their own. In her search for more answers, Juliet manages to open George's hard drive and tries broadcasting the footage across the silo's monitors, but IT shuts it down instantly. We soon find out that the real Shadow Ruler is Bernard, not Sims. He uses IT's surveillance cameras to control every level of the silo, with Judicial enforcing his authority. He offers a deal to Juliet that if she goes outside willingly, he'll show her what really happened to George, and she agrees. But the truth destroys her because George did jump in front of the cameras to avoid being tortured into giving up his relics and to protect Juliet, who's immediately measured for her cleaning suit after receiving this information. Knowing she never actually said that she wants to go outside broke our heart for her even more. Meanwhile, down in Mechanical, Martha Walker hasn't left her workshop in 25 years. When she realizes what's happening to Juliet, she forces herself out for the first time in decades to go see Carla, her ex-wife, in supply. She asks her to seal Juliet's suit with real mechanical heat tape instead of the usual tape that they use. The most chilling detail of the entire season is when we see that the suits are intentionally made to fail, which means that every person who ever dies outside was actually murdered, and that murder was an intentional choice made by the people in power. Juliet steps outside and sees that green, beautiful world on her visor, but doesn't clean the others always do. She finds Holston's body by touch alone, places his badge on him. Then she keeps on walking, but the visor glitches and that green world is gone, only to reveal the real barren and dead wasteland, the ruins of a city on the horizon. She realizes that the beautiful world was a projection the entire time, as the scene looked exactly like what she saw in the footage, designed to make every dying person clean the lens before the sabotaged suit finished them all. Her suit holds, thanks to the supply tape, and she walks over that hill and sees at least a dozen other silos. The hard drive George found had the number 18 etched on it, which means there has to be at least 17 others, if not more. And so, season 1 ends with Juliet alive, alone, and staring at a world full of underground prisons, the one she just escaped.
Let me talk to him, please.
I warned you.
Season 2, the truth that breaks everything. Season 2 is more emotionally layered, and the revelations hit harder than anything in the first season. This season picks up almost immediately after last season's cliffhanger ended. Juliet enters the nearest silo and sees the bodies of people who came outside but succumbed to the toxic atmosphere near the entrance. The silo was destroyed. A rebellion that went wrong years ago caused the structure to collapse. Almost everyone is dead except one person. Solo has been alone in Silo 17 for decades, surviving by himself in the lower vaults. He's one traumatized individual, so naturally, he's suspicious and guarded. As Juliet navigates the ruins, they slowly build a fragile trust, and we come to learn Solo's backstory, which is really tragic and makes sense as to why he's the way he is. Solo's real name is Jimmy, and as a kid, during the rebellion that tore Silo 17 apart, he watched the sheriff shoot his father, Russell Conroy, who was the IT head, and then locked Jimmy in the vault to protect him. As a result, Jimmy's been alone ever since. Getting back to Silo 18 is Juliet's only mission, and Solo tells her about a firefighter suit she can use to make the trip. Of course, thing is ever simple. The suit is in a flooded section of the silo, and getting to it nearly kills her. She gets the bends from diving, her arm gets badly infected from the contaminated water, she gets shot in the shoulder with an arrow by the teenage survivors. At one point, she just collapses unconscious in an abandoned apartment. Solo nurses her back to health, and then has the audacity to hide the suit from her, force her to help him fix a broken water pump first. They're frustrating together in the best way. They also discover that the teens who attacked them, Audrey, Rick, and Eater, are the offspring of survivors of the initial rebellion who never went outside. They start off hostile, but eventually become reluctant allies, and since they're still in Silo 17 when Juliet leaves, they're a thread Season 3 is going to have to pick back up. Meanwhile, everything is going off the rails back in Silo 18. The mechanical versus IT war becomes serious, with Knox, Shirley, Billings, and Hank leading the rebellion from the lower floors against Bernard's forces. With Juliet gone and presumed dead, the JL graffiti appearing on the walls becomes a symbol of resistance as people start believing she survived, and that belief is dangerous to those in power. Bernard recruits Judge Meadows as his shadow. Meadows made a deal that she would help him stabilize the silo in exchange for a suit so that she could go outside, but over their final dinner together, he poisons her mushrooms. The woman, who was supposedly his ally, someone he clearly had real history and feelings for, was dead because she became a liability. Right before her death, though, Meadows brings up Salvador Quinn. was the head of IT 140 years ago during the rebellion, the same man whose name appeared on an old copy of the Pact back in Season 1. She tells Bernard that Quinn wrote a coded letter, which she partially deciphered, refuses to tell him what it said, and dies taking that secret with her. That little detail is going to be big in Season 3, we can just feel it. Bernard then has Sims stage the scene to make her death look like a murder, frames Knox and Shirley for it, turning the rest of the silo against Mechanical. Bernard also has people who witnessed Juliet's hard drive footage quietly drugged with memory-altering medication, and Patrick Kennedy, one of Juliet's allies who actually saw the footage, cuts a deal with Sims to forget everything, including the truth and even the memory of his dead wife, in exchange for drugs. That should tell you everything about how broken and desperate the people inside that silo are. To his credit, Billings refuses to let it go. He finds Kennedy hiding injured in a tunnel and pieces together that Meadows was framed, that Bernard has been lying about everything. Billings fully switches sides and joins the rebellion, which is a big deal because he was always the rule followed. Knox and Shirley, meanwhile, are on the run with a bounty on their heads when they get intercepted by a mob that would have almost certainly lynched. That's when Camille steps in. She's a former raider herself and uses that authority to pull them out of the riot, quietly lets them go rather than handing them over to Bernard. She even lies to Sims about it to cover her tracks. They eventually make it back to the Deep Down using a porter's winch and pulley system to drop over the side of the staircase. During the manhunt, Carla sacrifices herself and lets Walker escape alone, knowing no one on the upper levels would recognize her face. It was a quiet moment, but it hit hard. Bernard then uses Lucas Kyle, a young IT worker who was close to Juliet and had been sentenced to the mines for it, to decode Quinn's secret message. But Lucas ends up being far more important than just a code breaker. He essentially becomes Bernard's heir in IT, and his bond with Juliet is one of the season's most genuine emotional threads. Quinn's message leads him to a hidden tunnel deep beneath Silo 18, and when he accesses the vault at the bottom, the algorithm, Entity, starts communicating with him from within the system. He uncovers something terrifying. The safeguard is a means of killing every single inhabitant of the silo any given moment, controlled by an outside entity watching over every silo, completely above Bernard, out of his control. And this is also where the full scale of what they're all trapped inside finally becomes clear. There are around 50 silos, possibly 51 total depending on how Bernard's wording is interpreted, and Silo 18 is just one node in a net. Whoever's running that network sits above it all, watching every single one, controlling the safeguard, and deciding quietly which populations get to keep breathing and which ones don't. Juliet and Solo discover the same thing physically in Silo 17, finding a pipe connected to an outside source capable of flooding the entire silo with poison. Solo's mother had successfully blocked this pipe during the rebellion and saved a small group. That means it can be stopped, and that realization is what drives Juliet to get home no matter what. Now, here's where Bernard does something truly awful to Martha Walker. He discovers through surveillance footage that Walker and Carla had been in a romantic relationship before Walker locked herself in her workshop all those years ago. He uses that as a weapon, threatening to harm Carla unless Walker becomes his spy inside Mechanical. So, Walker, the woman who hadn't left her workshop in 25 years, is forced to betray the people she loves to protect the one person she loves most. He even installs a camera in her workshop to watch her at all times. But Knox figures it out. He secretly signals Walker using Mechanical's hand language as Bernard watches through the camera, thinking he knows their plan. The entire generator bomb strategy is a decoy. Bernard sends every raider he has downstairs to stop an attack that was never going to happen. The real bomb is smuggled on a fake medical stretcher by Dr. Nichols and Hank, headed for the stairs at level 92. When the timer breaks, someone has to stay behind and detonate it manually, and Dr. Nichols doesn't even hesitate. He sends Hank away and triggers it himself, blowing up the stairs and cutting Bernard off from the rest of the silo. Before any of this goes into motion, though, Knox and Shirley tell Pete something that changes everything. They tell him Juliet is still alive. That's what brings him fully into the rebellion, and then he goes and detonates that bomb himself and dies, never knowing she was already on her way home. Throughout Season 2, Dr. Nichols had been quietly looking for a way to atone for the years he spent lying to patients on Bernard's orders. This was his moment. When the raiders publicly reunite Walker with Carla, they thank Walker loudly for her cooperation in front of everyone, making her look like a traitor. Carla tells Walker to get away from her, and she just has to stand there and take it. This is one of the most painful scenes of the entire season. Carla does eventually try to tell Walker she knew she was never really a traitor, but Walker doesn't buy it. Their reunion is messy and unresolved, and honestly, that feels very true to who both of them are. When Lucas brings the safeguard information to Bernard, he seems utterly devastated and resigns, handing his vault key to Sims. But the algorithm rejects Sims and his son and only allows Camille to stay. She served 12 years as a judicial raider before being reassigned to IT, which means she has deep roots in both of the power structures Bernard has been playing off each other this entire time. That's exactly why the algorithm selects her. Juliet finally makes it back to Silo 18, cleans the camera, and holds up a sign that reads, "Not safe, do not come out," stopping the crowd inside from opening the vault and walking to their deaths. She comes face to face with Bernard, who has a gun, and wants to walk outside and die rather than face what's coming. She stops him and tells him she knows how to stop the safeguard, but before they can do anything, they end up trapped together in the incinerator chamber as flames cover the screen. We don't know if either of them makes it out, and then the show does something completely unexpected. We cut to Washington, D.C., 352 years in the past. A man gets radiation scanned before entering a restaurant to meet a reporter for the Washington Post named Helen, who wastes no time grilling him about a dirty bomb attack and whether Iran was really behind it. He's a congressman from Georgia who clearly knows far more than he's letting on and dodges every question before leaving. On his way out, he hands her a duck Pez dispenser, the same one George had in season 1, the same Pez dispenser that started everything. Someone in that room clearly connects to the origin of the silos, and season 3 is finally going to show us the whole truth. And that's everything you need to know to walk straight into Silo season 3. After 2 seasons of lies and sacrifices, we need this new season right now. We might finally get answers about who built the 50 silos and why they set all of this into motion 300 years ago. So let us know in the comments, who do you think is really running the show from the top? Drop your crazy theories below, and if this recap helped you out, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see ya in the next one.